I was recently in, I don't even like to use the word negotiation, so I'm gonna call it a conversation with somebody over this real estate transaction. And I could tell that this person had that winner take all mentality. Like they had to win. Like that's just the way that they operated. And it wasn't necessarily that I had to win, I just wanted both of us to win. So I gave him my offer. And one of the things that's so important in any selling dynamic or negotiation dynamic is you have to have your point of indifference, which is you're indifferent to the fact of whether it happens, but this is the line I'm drawing in the sand, and I'm not going to cross that line. And many people, because they come from a space of desperation or fear or lack, they have a really hard time enforcing that point of indifference. And then as a byproduct, they will often, quote unquote, lose in the space of a negotiation, if that's what you want to refer to it as. So I'm talking with this gentleman, and I feel he's being completely and utterly absurd with his ask. So I said, okay, here's my offer, but it's my point of indifference. This is my walkaway point. That if he doesn't meet that point, which is in favor of him, because not getting a deal is clearly not, then he's not going to get a deal with me. And I just dug my heels into the ground, and this was a win-win for him, because he'd have the transaction at a very fair price, and I'd have a fair transaction at a price that I thought was fair as well. And initially he said, nope, I'm not doing it. I'm staying firm on my ask. And I said, okay, then I'm just going to walk away. That's fine. And that was months ago. Well, then he came back to me about a month ago and then said, okay, are you willing to entertain my offer? And I said, no, I'm willing to entertain my offer. My point of indifference. It was purely established. Come from a space of abundance. And he said, nope, I'm not going to take it. I said, that's perfectly fine. And then yesterday, out of nowhere, he reached out to me and said, all right, I'll take your offer. And I did not win. We both won, because the alternative was he wasn't going to get any offer whatsoever. And this is a key step whenever you're selling or negotiating or whatever you want to call it, having a conversation with someone. You have to know your walkaway point, and you don't want to violate it. I do not believe that there's a win in the space of sales or negotiation. I believe there's only a win-win outcome. But the only way that happens is if you're hyper clear on when you're willing to walk away. And that's the first secret I share with people. Get super clear on what you're not going to negotiate against yourself, and then just stay firm on that point and be fair. Because the ultimate goal is that when you're having a conversation with someone or a negotiation with someone or a selling dynamic with somebody, that they're going to want to do business with you again. And if they feel that you're the type that's winner take all, they're not going to want to do business with you, even if they transact with you. And they're not going to tell anybody else to do business with you, because they're going to say, oh, they're ferocious, watch out for them. And you don't want to be that person, nor do you want to be the pushover that just says yes to anything someone offers you, even if it's not in your best interest. So have your point of indifference. It's the first thing I share with everybody. But here's the second thing you need to know, whether you're negotiating or selling or trying to form a transaction with somebody, is you have to be completely clear on the outcome that you're striving to get to. Often I'm on conversations with people, and I could just feel them feeling uncomfortable about going in for their ask or having an offer. So they're dancing around it on the peripheral, and I can't get anywhere in the conversation. So I just get super direct with them. What's your offer? Just come to me with an offer, because if you don't have the offer, I can't find a way to navigate it. I had this conversation recently with somebody who's incredibly talented, wants to work with us, but I could feel on every call he's dancing around what he ultimately desires, which is asking for a role. So the other day I said, listen, stop dancing. What do you actually want to do with us? Write out the description, write out what you feel your compensation should be, write out what you believe your KPIs should be attached to the description, so we have a point to start with. We have a baseline to begin a conversation. But if you're in a situation right now and you're dancing around, or someone's dancing around you with regards to a next step, just be the one that's super direct and ask them, what do you actually want to do? What is your offer? What is the description attached to your offer? What is the price attached to your offer? What are the expectations of performance? Have them come to you with at least a baseline so that you can have a conversation with them. And maybe what they're looking for is exactly what you want, and maybe it's not. And then you go back to that first point I share, which is that point of demarcation, where you're like, I'm indifferent to whether this happens if it crosses over this line. But as long as it's at this line, then I'm willing to entertain it and move forward with it. And like I said before, make sure that line is fair and equitable. You don't want to be the person who's that winner takes all mentality, where the person that transacted with you never wants to do it again, and they tell everybody else, oh, beware of that person. You don't want that either. So number one, have your point of demarcation. That's the point of indifference, where you're willing to just walk away if that point is not met. The second thing is, whether you are trying to get something or someone's trying to get something from you, you want to make sure that the offer is clear. The more you dance around it, the less productive it gets, the less likely you're going to get to a point of having a transaction. So be hyper direct with the offer or the ask. Be hyper direct, and then based on that, go to point number one. The third thing that you want to do in any selling dynamic or negotiation dynamic is you want to have deep levels of conviction around the desired outcome, which is a win-win. So whenever I'm speaking with anyone, whether it's because of a tech company or a real estate transaction or hiring, I have deep conviction that the only deal I will do is win-win. So much so that I'm going to say it. So as I feel us going down a path where there's going to be an offer or an ask, I tell them from the start, the only way I'm going to do this is to win-win. What I don't want is for this to become this back and forth hardcore negotiation. So I do want you to come in and ask me for what you want. And if it lines up with where I am, I'm just going to say yes. But if it's not, I'm just going to tell you what I'm willing to do. And whatever I'm willing to do, that's it. And if you feel like that's not in your best interest, then just don't do it. And we'll find other ways to work together in the future. But I don't want a back and forth. I don't want this to become a multiple month, multiple week, multiple meeting process. I just want to get the transaction done. There's an opportunity cost associated with not getting a transaction done. And that opportunity cost is far greater than you nickel and diming me or me nickel and diming you. So come with your offer and ask, tell me what it is, and I'm going to tell you, yes, let's go, because it aligns with exactly where I am. Or if it doesn't, I'm going to say, okay, this is my point of indifference. If you don't meet this, I'm just not going to do the deal. And I'm okay with not doing the deal, and I want you to be okay with not doing the deal because it's not a win-win outcome. And this is critical. You want to drive that conversation, not so that you win the negotiation, but because you want a win-win outcome. The easiest thing to do when you're building your business is get repeat business. It's the key. The cost of acquiring a customer or a client or whatever you define it, a patient, that there's a cost. There's a real cost to acquire that person. Often, especially in the software industry, that cost could be a few months of services. You might have to spend 3, 4, 5, 6 months of services to acquire a customer. So it's far more effective to get that customer to buy something else from you because there's no cost associated with it. But if you're the type of person that's winner take all, even if you win in the one transaction, they're not going to want to transact with you again, which means the next time that you go out to try to grow your business and sell and transact, you're going to have a cost to acquire your end user. So I want to repeat this for you because this is exactly how I do it. The first step is I always have a point of indifference, which is my walkaway point. And I honor that point. And I come in knowing there's a really abundant universe out there, really abundant universe. And I'm okay not having a deal transpire. I believe that God or whatever power you believe in is going to bring something better to me if I walk away from something that does not meet my point of indifference. Step number one, stay firm on that. Don't come from a space of desperation. Number two, you want to make sure that if you're the one going with the offer or you're receiving an ask, that it's hyper clear and direct. The dance, the swooning, the romanticizing, it's just not productive. So just tell a person, be direct with me, or you be direct with them, depending on what side of the table you're on. And what directness means is, this is what I'm going to do. This is the description associated with it. This is how much it's going to cost, and these are the results you can expect. Once you get an offer, take that offer to step number one, your point of indifference, to see whether or not it's crossed your boundary. And if it's crossed the boundary, don't do it. But the response should be, and this is the third step, is thank you for your offer. Now I'm going to tell you the only way I'm going to do the deal, because this is the only way I do deals, which is win-win. And although what you offered is wonderful and I appreciate the thought you put into it, here's what it must be in order for us to transact today. And if this doesn't feel right to you, just don't do it and let's find something else. Let's not force something that isn't there. But I'm telling you, I'm not going to go back and forth. This is my point of indifference. But you just have to be really fair and choose a point of indifference where you're going to walk away that truly is a win-win. And this is the key. This whole game of negotiating the back and forth, there's so much opportunity cost associated with it. Just get into business with people or don't. Have no additional conversations about a subject matter once the conversation's been established around the point of indifference and the win-win outcome. I hope this serves you. This is how I roll. If we're ever transacting, just realize I'm not going to do the negotiation dance with you. I'm not. I'm going to have you clearly state your offer, and I'm going to come back and say, thank you. Here's my point of indifference. I won't budge off of this point of indifference, but I also know it's a win-win outcome. So take it or leave it. If you leave it, that's fine. The relationship will be established. I'm just not going to waste any more time because time is opportunity cost, and opportunity cost is a very, very real cost. All right, go out there and negotiate for the win-win outcomes.